and like NASA and in the US, you've now invited the private sector to come in.
And exactly the way Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos has been developing their own sort of space ambitions, we hope Indian private sector would do that.
Companies are much smaller and those are much bigger.
But they have a lead. They had a military industrial complex. They've been doing space big space for so many years. But I think what India has done is very cleverly moved into niche areas.
Yeah.
And secondly, India's, one of the things we must also compliment ISRO is that, look, this just hasn't happened overnight. It's just not Chandrayan. ISRO has proved successful in building giant launchers. It's proved successful in satellites. It's now proved successful in having orbiters.
What does this moment mean for India? I want to go across live and exclusive at this time to one of India's most famous aerospace scientists. He was at ISRO, contributed very significantly to India's space program, developed the Vikas rocket engine, built the team, led the team that developed the polar satellite launch vehicle, the PSLV, on which the GSLV ultimately then got built. Nambi Narayan joins us. Many of you would know him as the inspiration behind the movie Rocketry, the Nambi Effect. We just had R. Madhavan with us on this broadcast. He was wrongly accused of being involved in illegal activities. Later, the case completely dismissed against him. He's seen success, he's seen hardship, and now he's seeing this massive moment of the Indian Space Research Organization landing successfully on the moon. Thank you very much, Nambi Narayanji, for joining us in India today. Many congratulations to you and to India's scientific community. Could you start by explaining to everyone the significance in that journey which you've seen from the PSLV to now this moment when the Vikram has landed on the moon? How significant an achievement do you see this as being?
It's a long story. I feel it will be taking a lot of time. But let me try to be as brief as possible. I remember those days when I joined ISRO. One of the occasions which I can never forget is that I was carrying the Judy Dot payload, which looks like a small rocket, by the Kerala State Transport Corporation's bus, because we never had any vehicle. So from one place to another place, from a workshop which was fabricated there, and then carrying it to the Tumba rocket station. And of course, there are occasions where we carried these materials by bicycle and so on and so forth. That was one day. I'm talking about 1966 time frame. But then, step by step, we were struggling to make a 3 inches diameter solid rocket motor. That is one problem. Then a 600 kg. See, a 3-inch diameter rocket became later, today, a 3-meter diameter rocket.
That was, I'm talking about 1966 time frame.
Liquid rocket has become a 60 tonner.
Step by step, we were struggling to make
that is a kind of
3 inches diameter solid rocket motor.
This is a one problem. Short story of
then a 600 kg
over a period of
30 years. A 3-inch diameter rocket became later, today, a 3-meter diameter. That was, I'm talking about 1966 time frame.
Liquid rocket has become a 60 tonner.
Step by step, we were struggling to make that is a kind of 3 inches diameter solid rocket motor. This is one problem.
Story of
then a 600 kg over a period of 30 years. A 3-inch diameter rocket became later, today, a 3-meter diameter. That was, I'm talking about 1966 time frame.
Liquid rocket has become a 60 tonner.
Step by step, we were struggling to make that is a kind of 3 inches diameter solid rocket motor. This is one problem. Story of then a 600 kg over a period of 330 years. A 3-inch diameter rocket became later, today, a 3-meter diameter. That was, I'm talking about.
Attempted with a small rockets available with us, and the result was you had Chandrayan 1 successful, Chandrayan 2 was a failure. Now today's Chandrayan 3 we succeeded very greatly, and thanks to the hard work and intelligent work done by the ISRO team. Okay, I hope it is a
Spend a moment, Nambi Narayanji, talking about what happens next, over the next few hours with the Pragyan coming out of the Vikram lander, can you explain to everyone watching at this moment the kind of experiments that will be carried out, what we hope to achieve, and why what India is doing on the south pole of the moon is indeed so special?
Well, this is not a difficult job, but I'll tell you, it is going to allow the whole dust to settle for about, I think it's about 3 to 4 hours or so, and then the lander, the Vikram, this will come out of the lander. That will roll down for a distance of about 100 meters. I don't remember those numbers. And it has its own experiments designated to it. But more frankly, let me tell you, I got completely overwhelmed by the fact that we had a soft landing. And that was the prime goal of today's launch. And after soft landing, what is happening is not really very exciting to me, in the sense that the main goal is achieved, and we are now talking about subsidiary goals. So let the subsidiary goals take its own way of getting things done. So that's why I say that.
My colleague Shiv Arur has a question for you,
yes.
Dr. Narayan. Fine, Shiv.
Nambiji, the scary part about the landing, which was weighing on everybody's mind, of course, was the memory of what had happened 4 years ago, with Chandrayan 2. And, people tend to see these things as black and white, failure versus success, when it was actually the many lessons that were learned from Chandrayan 2 that helped Chandrayan 3 in many ways become fail-proof. Can you tell us a little bit about that process, sir? How would the team have looked at Chandrayan 2 and made Chandrayan 3 that much more successful?
Well, again, I will try to be brief. Chandrayan 2 had, shall I say, some built-in problems. And one was a problem of the software, where if I tell you that it was there in the program, that it had contradictory commands. And one is to say go, one is to say not go. Another problem was the stability margin. And the stability was not proper, because we had a very stringent weight budget with respect to Chandrayan 2's lander. Now, these are the two problems. Now, these two problems were addressed too, and there came handy the orbiter, which was part of Chandrayan 2, was still orbiting there with a life, which we never anticipated will be there when Chandrayan 3 was being planned, but it has come, handy, which means we need not carry one more orbiter with us. So we were planning to use the present orbiter, and then we also gained some weight because we are not carrying that orbiter. So we wanted to make use of that weight gain in favor of us by adding some weight to the lander, or making it more stable. So both the problems were solved. And then we also added some of the impossible things which you can dream of. Whether you need a redundancy, whether the health parameters are going to be okay with respect to one channel, or whether you need two channels, and one thruster is okay, or whether you need through thrusters, n number of things. We keep on imagining. I think ISRO team has spent a lot of time in imagining all the kind of failures, and then they have made the entire thing pakka. So the result is that I was talking to some people in ISRO. I personally believed that they never had any apprehension about the success of Chandrayan 3. Of course, but like anybody else having written an exam and who will get a first rank, still will be under tension till he gets to know the result of it.
Okay, my
So that
colleague,
kind of a
India
tension
Today's
was there
editor,
in my minds of all.
editorial director for publishing, Raj Chingappa, has a question for you. Raj.
Firstly, hello, Mr. Namin Narayan. It's been a long time, Dr. Namin Narayan, speaking to you. Always have great regard for you. And my question is this, very interestingly, in Chandrayan 2, we had 5 thrusters guiding the lander. In Chandrayan 3, we took off one of them, the middle one, and had 4 thrusters. And by the way, you build a lot of these liquid fuel engines yourself at some point, and these are derivatives of what you've done. How critical was that decision to take off the 5th engine and just keep 4?
Well, Raj Shingappa, I am very happy to meet you in this conversation. I don't know whether you recall on the occasion where we met in the court of law in Trivandrum. I don't know whether you remember that. And,
Yes.